You don't notice it. It doesn't look like a mistake. It doesn't feel reckless. In fact, it feels responsible, stable, adult. But this silent behavior is quietly killing your long-term wealth, and almost everyone falls into it. It's not overspending. It's not bad investments. It's not even low income. It's comfort. More specifically, unquestioned comfort. Here's how it starts. You work hard. You push through stress. You build momentum. You increase your income. You finally reach a point where things feel manageable. Bills are paid. Savings exist. You're not struggling anymore. And for the first time in a while, you breathe. That breath feels earned, deserved. But something subtle happens in that moment. You stop optimizing, not dramatically, not consciously, just quietly. You stop analyzing where your money flows. You stop aggressively building skill. You stop looking for leverage. You stop looking for asymmetry. You begin maintaining. Maintenance feels safe. Maintenance feels mature. Maintenance feels like success. But wealth is not built in maintenance mode. It's built in expansion mode. And expansion requires friction. Your brain, however, does not like friction. Your brain is wired for safety. Once basic needs are secured, your nervous system shifts into preservation. You unconsciously begin protecting your current lifestyle. You avoid risks that might disrupt stability. You delay moves that could increase volatility. You prioritize comfort over opportunity. And none of this feels wrong. It feels wise. But here's the dangerous truth. Stability without intentional growth becomes stagnation. Stagnation doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't look like failure. It looks like doing fine. And doing fine is one of the most dangerous financial positions you can be in. Because fine removes urgency. Urgency creates action. Action creates opportunity. Opportunity creates wealth. Without urgency, you drift. Let's go deeper. When you first start earning more, there is tension. You're hungry. You're sharp. You're aware. You question every decision. You're looking for upside. You're looking for leverage. You are alert. Alert people spot opportunities. But comfort reduces alertness. Routine replaces intentionality. You wake up. You work. You earn. You spend. You repeat. Autopilot. Autopilot feels efficient, but autopilot ignores asymmetry. And asymmetry is where wealth lives. Asymmetry means small risk, large upside. Asymmetry means investing early in skill. Asymmetry means building assets before upgrading lifestyle. Asymmetry requires discomfort. And discomfort requires willingness to disturb comfort. Most people reach a financial plateau not because they lack intelligence, but because they stop disturbing their own comfort. Let's talk about plateau. Plateau is seductive. You don't feel poor. You don't feel desperate. You don't feel pressure. So you stop pushing. And because you stop pushing, your growth slows. But here's the part no one talks about. Momentum is fragile. When you are building aggressively, momentum compounds. You gain skill. You gain confidence. You gain capital. You gain leverage. But once you slow, momentum decays quietly. Your edge dulls. Your awareness softens. Your ambition stabilizes. And 5 years later, you are financially in the same place. Not broke, not wealthy, just stable. Now let's examine the psychology behind this. Your brain evolved for survival, not for exponential growth. In primitive environments, stability meant survival. Too much risk meant death. So your nervous system rewards safety. When your bills are covered and your environment feels predictable, your brain releases tension. And tension reduction feels like success. But wealth requires controlled tension, growth tension, learning tension, strategic tension. Without it, your financial life becomes maintenance. Maintenance protects what exists. It rarely multiplies it. There's also identity involved. When you struggle early in life, you identify as ambitious, hungry, driven. But once you reach stability, your identity shifts. You begin to see yourself as established. Established people protect status. Hungry people create new leverage. The shift from creator to protector happens quietly, and protectors rarely build extraordinary wealth. They preserve, they defend, they maintain. This is why so many people peak early. They reach a comfortable level, and then they unconsciously defend it for the rest of their lives. No bold moves, no asymmetric bets, no aggressive skill stacking, just maintenance. And maintenance feels responsible, but it limits upside. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you intentionally made yourself financially uncomfortable? Not reckless, uncomfortable. When was the last time you delayed gratification that you could afford? When was the last time you reinvested instead of upgrading? When was the last time you learned something that could double your income potential? Comfort whispers, "You've done enough." Growth whispers, "There's more." Most people choose comfort because comfort feels deserved. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Now let's talk about the hidden cost of comfort. The danger isn't immediate, it's long-term decay. When you stabilize too early, your tolerance for discomfort shrinks. That's the real trap. Your life becomes optimized for ease. You adjust to certain standards, certain conveniences, certain habits. And once those standards become normal, any step backward feels unacceptable. So you stop taking steps that might temporarily reduce comfort, even if those steps increase long-term wealth. For example, you stop changing jobs unless it feels perfectly safe. You stop launching projects unless success seems guaranteed. You stop investing aggressively unless volatility is low. You wait. You hesitate. You overanalyze. You protect. And protection kills velocity. Velocity matters more than income. High income without velocity stagnates. Moderate income with velocity compounds. Velocity means forward movement, new skill acquisition, new asset creation, new positioning, new leverage. Comfort reduces velocity. You begin optimizing for peace instead of potential. Peace is valuable, but premature peace is expensive. Now let's examine something deeper. Comfort also increases lifestyle attachment. When you first upgrade your life, it feels optional. But over time, it becomes identity. You are no longer choosing your lifestyle. You are defending it. And defense requires income consistency. Income consistency reduces risk appetite. Reduced risk appetite reduces opportunity. Opportunity reduction reduces upside. Upside reduction caps wealth. You see how subtle this is? No dramatic collapse, just slow ceiling formation. Another layer, social reinforcement. Once you reach stability, people around you reinforce it. You're doing great. You've made it. You're successful. Those words feel good. They validate your plateau. But external validation often freezes internal ambition, and the world keeps moving. Markets evolve, technology advances, opportunities shift. If you are not deliberately expanding, you are quietly falling behind. Not visibly, but structurally. Now, let's talk about the solution. You don't need chaos. You don't need to gamble. You need intentional friction. Friction is controlled discomfort. For example, invest before you upgrade. Build margin beyond what feels necessary. Learn a skill that expands earning power even if you don't immediately need it. Delay purchases that reinforce comfort identity. Surround yourself with people slightly ahead of you. Ask harder financial questions. Track your velocity, not just your income. Income is a snapshot. Velocity is a trajectory. Comfort flatlines trajectory. Tension bends it upward. There's also something called the expansion cycle. When you intentionally disturb comfort, you reintroduce alertness. Alertness increases awareness. Awareness increases opportunity detection. Opportunity detection increases asymmetry. Asymmetry increases wealth. But the first step is psychological. You must decide that comfort is not the goal. Freedom is the goal, and freedom requires margin. Margin requires discipline. Discipline requires temporary discomfort. Most people chase comfort thinking it equals freedom, but comfort is expensive to maintain. Freedom is built in the gap between what you earn and what you require. That gap is created in tension. Now imagine two people. Both earn the same amount. One chooses stability, upgrades immediately, maintains, protects. The other chooses intentional friction, reinvests, builds skill, expands assets. 10 years later, the difference is enormous, not because one was smarter, but because one refused to let comfort become permanent. This is the silent wealth killer. It doesn't look like poverty. It looks like adulthood. It looks like maturity. It looks like responsibility. But without growth tension, it becomes financial ceiling. Ask yourself honestly, are you building or are you maintaining? Are you expanding your capability or protecting your lifestyle? Are you increasing velocity or defending stability? The most dangerous financial position is not being broke. It's being comfortable enough to stop pushing. Because 5 years from now, you won't regret the discomfort you embraced. You will regret the growth you postponed. Comfort whispers safety. Wealth requires controlled risk. Comfort preserves. Tension multiplies. The silent wealth killer isn't low income. It isn't bad luck. It isn't lack of intelligence. It's passive comfort. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now the only question is, will you choose ease or expansion? Because the difference won't show tomorrow. It will show in 5 years. And by then, it will be massive.